Hey, Dennis Worth, better known as the child support superhero, and just like AC/DC, I am back in black. We got letters coming back in, and well, I do appreciate you guys writing in. That's the whole idea of the thing. People are going to stay tuned in for short stories, and some of you, I know it's a passionate thing, your children, and some of you get going and you write me a book, and people aren't going to stay tuned in for a book. We want some short stories. We got Jeremy wrote in here. Thank you for writing in, Jeremy. And he went on and on and on. And it's a great story, man. Stick around if you got the time, and I'll try to get it through it as quick as I can here. Hello. First and foremost, I appreciate your efforts to collectively gather stories of the child support and the family law systems. This gives us all hope that we are not alone in our pain and suffering. A parent never truly understands separation from a child until they become a non-custodial, alienated parent, forced to pay for a part of them that is no longer, well, a part of them. It's disturbing when one parent or the other decides to part from the relationship for selfish reasons and then expect to be rewarded, the children and a paycheck, for doing so. My name is Jeremy. JJ for short. Sharon, since my case is still ongoing, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, so please bear with me as I skip around to the point. I'm a disabled veteran, stay-at-home father of 3 now. I was medically chaptered in 2009 after 4 years of honorable Army service and a 16-month deployment to Iraq. My first week in Iraq was an interesting one. It was one to remember. I landed in Iraq on a Saturday, started my first assignment on Sunday night. Monday morning, I thought to stop and check the mail, received divorce papers from my home of record, Ohio, and a lengthy letter from BM. I got back to my tent after a 12-hour shift, began reading them, and was nearly struck by a motor. Explosive decision, said 37 feet from where I was to lay my head for the next 16 months. And this was just the beginning. I had found out from a friend about 2 weeks into my deployment that my daughter fell from a tree and had to be life flighted to a hospital. Later turns out this happened in the state that BM is now currently residing. She was remarried and relocated 7 days following the divorce. My children were already calling this man Dad long before I ever came home. This is when I became nothing more than a paycheck. You see, I came home on mid-tour leave in November, right around Thanksgiving. I picked up my children from my ex's mother. My ex was in AL for a week when I came home. We were supposed to talk about the paperwork, but there was nothing left to say after finding out her whereabouts. My child support payment for the first calculated while I was overseas was $599.99, and that's with hazard duty and extras. Come home and filed for a modification since my ex was dropped off. Was told I could not do so since my case was not older than 36 months. 11 months after my return, I was medically discharged. Requested a modification yet again due to drastic financial decrease with medical reasoning. Child support went to $573 a month. I also brought up the relocation of the children. Ohio transferred the case to Alabama. With nothing said to BM. In spite of court orders, now AL has my child support payment at $473 plus $50 extra towards my arrears. And that's based on my VA disability check. Arizona has told me if they held this case, my child support would be based on my deployment pay, about $130 a month, and that would be the good faith system, not garnishable. To this date, with the state Alabama, I'm nearly $42,000 in arrears. That includes roughly $11,000 in interest, but I've been called a deadbeat dad since the day I got off the plane from Iraq, and that was over $18, so I guess I am what they say I am. My children want nothing to do with me. I cannot financially nor morally pay anything to my ex for what she has done. I personally feel she filled my shoes with another man in my absence, and that man should have to take on my financial rights for my children as well. I have a nice docket that I put together with all the facts, but the state represents in Alabama had it dismissed from my last hearing. However, the judge wants me to resubmit my case in a different court, so I am preparing a few more things, going to be sending to the Superior Court in Alabama. So we will see what comes of all this. I have not seen my children in nearly 5 years. My wife has tried to fund trips for my children, and my ex has told me to pay the child support if I want to see them. My ex has my children since 2007 in her case, and the stories I have against her, but I don't want to seem like I'm exploiting her like she has the courts have done to me. I am at an all or nothing point in my life in this case. I want full custody of my children, or I want my name erased from the paperwork associated, and that includes my debt. I have a new family, and I have tried to move on for nearly 6 years, but child support makes sure that I am stuck in this revolving door. And remember, this is all just a touch of the full story. Thank you for your time, respectfully, Jeremy. Jeremy, thank you for writing in, and certainly you hit some good points there, and you probably told the story better than any advice I can give. It's just, go to this court, file this, go to that court, file this one, file. It just turns into your head spinning, you don't know which way to turn, and in the meantime, your children are suffering, the parents are suffering, and certainly, to use a situation like that to remove you from your children's life, forget about you or your ex. It's devastating on the children because, they don't know you. You're overseas. Who they know? Their mother. So guess whose side they're going to take? They're going to believe every word she says, true or not, and that's whose side they're going to take. And, certainly hearing your children call someone else dad, he can be a good stepdad, he can be a good step-parent, but you know what? He's never their birth father. They only got one of those, and, that should never be taken from a child's life, ever, okay? If you want to be a part of your child's life, then, you certainly shouldn't be erased for a paycheck, but that's what our government's done, okay? They've put money is more important than our children, okay? They've put that profit is above the well-being of our children, and it also makes you ashamed sometimes to have a government that would do that, because how many parents have to commit suicide, and forget the parents, the long-term effects. I've done the research of parental alienation is the child, at some point they're going to become an adult and realize, that they've totally abandoned this other parent, and it's not their fault because it's been put in their head, but they're going to feel bad about it, and it's going to be severe depression and in some cases suicide by the children. So, how many parents have to die? How many kids have to die before our government realizes this system is not working and it needs to be modified and it needs to be erased, washed right off the books? But as long as our government's making a profit out of it, they're going to sell off our children, and that's just a very sad thing. How do we stop this? Awareness is the key. The power of the people, folks, okay? We need to come together. We need to unite. We need to get awareness out there, and certainly the child support's doing that. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors, go to Facebook, like up the Child Support Superhero, keep these letters coming in, and together we stand, divided we fall. And we're going to stand together on this one. So till next time, I'm in search of the ultimate story, and I am the Child Support Superhero. And be strong. Stay strong, folks. Goodbye.